Joining us now is a member of the Judiciary Committee, Democratic Senator Alex Padilla of California. Thank you for coming on, Senator. Do senators have a right to see the report on Gaetz before potentially voting on his confirmation, and do you expect to see it?
Look, I believe we do have a right to see not just the report, but all the supporting documentation and evidence that has led up to this near final report. If we are going to be true to our obligation as senators to conduct a thorough vetting and background before we can even consider this nomination, which we know is beyond troubled at the outset. Just what's in the public domain is already disqualifying, I believe, for Matt Gaetz. But hey, this is Donald Trump's choice. And so let's go through the process. What are they afraid of by holding on to the report or even skirting a typical FBI investigation background for members of the committee, both sides of the aisle, to consider?
Gaetz, for his part, as you know, has denied any wrongdoing. Last night, the Majority Leader-elect John Thune was asked on Fox News about using recess appointments to get Trump's cabinet picks through, as Trump himself has pushed for. Here's what he said.
All options are on the table, including recess appointments. Hopefully it doesn't get to that, but we'll find out fairly quickly whether the Democrats want to play ball or not.
So he's putting the ball in Democrats' court. How do you respond?
Yeah, what ball is he talking about? Is he talking about rubber stamping anything that Trump is asking for? Or is he talking about playing ball in terms of living up to our obligations as a Senate to have genuine confirmation hearings and review of Trump nominees? Look, as troubling as Matt Gaetz and all of Trump's nominees and announcements so far are, the bigger question here is also, this is a test of Senate Republicans, not just Republicans in Congress, but the Senate specifically. Will they stand up and live up to their obligations that they accepted when they took the oath of office, or are they simply going to bend over and rubber stamp anything that Trump wants? So the question is on Republican leader-elect Thune and every single Republican in the Senate.
Do you agree with the next Senate Majority Leader, though, that Trump's overwhelming victory should factor into Wayne qualifications in getting some of these picks through?
Look, I disagree. I absolutely disagree. I mean, for two things. Did he win an election? Yes. Did he win a mandate? I don't believe so. It was a close election, as we have all covered for the last several months and for the last week and a half. Second, if you want to look at numbers and mandates, when President Biden was elected, his national vote margin was more than 7 million votes. Donald Trump's national vote margin is half that and shrinking. So it's not a mandate, and it's certainly not moral high ground or moral authority here to just give the president what he wants.
Right, but he still is ahead of Kamala Harris by millions of votes in the popular vote, and he won 7 battleground states. And for a Republican, it's been a long time since he won a popular vote, but that is the argument from his allies, that look, he has this mandate, his pick should go through. Do you think enough Republican senators will defect to imperil the confirmation of any of Trump's picks? And who do you think would be most at risk right now of actually getting confirmed?
Look, well, Matt Gaetz is obviously front and center, not just based on how troubling and problematic his nomination is, not that there's not others that are very problematic and troubling and concerning for the sake of the American people. This isn't politics here. But I applaud a couple of my Republican colleagues who've already publicly expressed their concern and reservation with some of these selections and announcements. But the test will come when it comes time to a confirmation hearing, how intensely we are asking questions and how people will vote. Again, to either rubber stamp a problematic Trump nominee or do what's right for the American people.
Are there any of Trump's cabinet announcements so far that you personally would vote for at this point?
I don't want to speak in absolutes because we haven't gone through the background and confirmation hearing process. But if I had to pick one, one of my colleagues, Senator Rubio, we disagree on a lot, but I know that he's approaching this process, I think, is much more thoughtfully than Matt Gaetz, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, so many of the others that we've heard about.
Sources tell CNN that President-elect Trump's transition team is bypassing the traditional FBI background checks for at least some of his cabinet picks and relying more on private companies to do so. They think that it'll be faster, among other reasons. Does that concern you?
It's a huge concern, not only because it's been standard practice in years past, right? Who better than the FBI to conduct a background investigation and provide to both the president to consider before he makes a nomination, or to the Senate to consider before considering confirming. We've got to ask, what are they worried about? What are they afraid of? What do they have to hide? Second, it's not shocking. I mean, Trump's selection for Attorney General is Matt Gaetz, and he is already on record wanting to abolish the FBI. So this is nothing other than Trump loyalty tests at every turn, both in who he selects, the process he's trying to follow. He just wants his people in place to do his bidding, regardless of the law, regardless of the Constitution, regardless of the safety of the public.
All right, Senator Alex Padilla, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Pamela.